Hello everyone, Sentient2009 here, and welcome to another video. Today I shall be discussing with you my Thomas and Friends headcanons, so let's get started. Starting with one that many people try to ignore, but I've come up with an explanation. How are the engines alive? My explanation is quite long, but hear me out. Thousands of years ago, long before any records can recall, wagons were transported along rails in ancient Sodor. During this era, there was a mutation in a very small number of humans, allowing them to perform actual magic. A wizard from Sodor's surrounding land came over and wanted to bring the wagons to life on Sudrian land, and only on Sudrian land. A spell was performed, and to everyone's amazement, the wagons gained sentient faces. Due to the low numbers in this mutation, it became extinct within the next 100 years. Fast forward to the early 19th century. The first modern railway is built on Sodor, and to the shock of everyone who was there, the wagons gained faces as soon as they arrived on the island. Wagons only had faces when on the island of Sodor, and no one could work out why. By the mid-19th century, the Sodor and mainland railway ordered 3 engines. The engineers of the railway theorised that these engines would gain faces as soon as they arrived on the island of Sodor, and they were right. All future engines and rolling stock to arrive on Sodor gained sentient faces. This also carried on to some road vehicles. However, they would lose the faces when they left the island and would regain them as soon as they returned to Sodor. Still, in the early 21st century, engines and road vehicles alike still have sentient talking faces. Investigations have taken place, but scientists have been unable to make a conclusion on the island of the sentient railway engines. So, basically it's magic. There is no other way around it. But I hope my explanation can give some logic to this magic. Some people say that the engines just don't have faces and that they're in the illustrations just to personify them, but I say, what's the fun in that? The whole point of these engines is that they have faces. I refuse to retcon that. Audrey said that the engines only have faces when they're on Sodor, implying that they lose them when they go to the mainland. For this to work, we will need to retcon some illustrations. However, when the engines leave Sodor, they are still alive and have their own minds, but they just don't have their faces. Explaining how Thomas is able to talk in Thomas and the Great Railway Show. The railway crew know this, explaining to why people talk to Thomas when he's on the mainland. They can't hear Thomas when he doesn't have a face, but they can guess what he's saying, and Thomas can hear them. It's a bit like talking to a baby or an animal. Next, my headcanons as to which engines belong to the Fat Controller and are part of the Northwestern Railway fleet in 2025, and their numbers. I know Duck and Oliver keep their Great Western numbers in the Railway series, but I'll be marking them by their Northwestern numbers in this list. So here goes. 1. Thomas. 2. Edward. 3. Henry. 4. Gordon. 5. James. 6. Percy. 7. Toby. 8. Duck. 9. Donald. 10. Douglas. 11. Oliver. 12. Bloomer. 13. Barry. 14. Walter. D1. Daisy. D2. Boko. D3. Bear. And Pip and Emma. Yes, I count Bloomer and Barry as canon in the Railway series. And if you don't know who Walter is, well, Walter is confirmed to be the name of the Austerity engine in the second edition of Sodor Reading Between the Lines, who was hinted at the end of the book we built the Forest engine back in 1994. Bill and Ben are privately owned by the Sodor China Clay Company in the Railway series, and Mavis is privately owned by the Farquhar Quarry Company. And apparently Neil still exists, so he'd be owned by someone, likely a private owner. The other engines currently on Sodor are Skarloey, Renier, Sir Handel, Peter Sam, Rusty, Duncan, Ivo, Hugh, Duke and Fred for the Skarloey Railway, Ernest, Wilfred, Caldy, Shane Dewey, Patrick, Alaric and Eric for the Caldy Fell Railway, and Rex, Mike, Bert, Jock, Frank, Blister 1, Blister 2 and Sigurd of Alsdale for the Alsdale Railway. And that is every engine alive on Sodor in 2025 in the Railway series canon. Speaking of canons, let me explain what I think about them. I believe that the different canons are the Railway series, the Model series excluding Magic Railroad, the CGI series and All Engines Go. Magic Railroad just makes sense as its own canon. I don't know how many of you are Doctor Who fans, but there were 2 Doctor Who movies in the 60s which were remakes of older episodes and are not canon to the main show. Another example of this is the 1971 Dad's Army movie. It's basically a remake of the first series, and then went on to do its own thing later on in the film. It is not canon to the main show, they're just made into a film. And both the shows of Doctor Who and Dad's Army carried on as if nothing had happened after the movies came out. This is what I think Magic Railroad is, except it's completely its own story. I would consider the Railway series to be the truest canon, and if Sodor was real, then it would be exactly like this. And like in the Railway series books, the TV show coexists as a fictional television series. Now for some headcanons regarding the geography of Sodor. I completely accept Audrey's map for the Railway Series canon, but for the model series, last year I made my own headcanon map and made a 9-part series on it. There are a lot more of you now, so if you missed this, I will leave a link to the playlist in the description. Just a few things to highlight. I was so proud of myself for coming up with a replacement for the 3 bridges without retconning any of the 3 tracks. The viaduct is the Little Western carrying up to Arsborough West. The metal bridge is Toby's old line. I have the junction for Toby's line be a split off to the left just above Holtrop and curves and goes over this bridge. Toby's line approaches the junction where one way goes towards Arlesdale and the other way curves and goes down to Arsborough Harbour. The 3rd track on the 3 bridges set is part of this line. I also came up with an idea how to explain all of the random sets on the Scarlet Railway we see in the Hit era. We know about the Mid-Sodor's existence in the model series, but we don't see it. We see all of these random tracks, but don't know what line they're on. So I made a link. These random sets are the old tracks in the Mid-Sodor Railway. I know they're not that grand, but you can imagine some nice sets to accompany them. This would make sense because reopening Mid-Sodor tracks has been a thing since Boulder Quarrying in Series 5. Speaking of the Mid-Sodor Railway, here are my headcanon lists of the engines for both the Railway series and the model series. For the Railway series, Audrey's Mid-Sodor layout has had so many random engines. But which one's a Canon? There are so many Alberts. Well, this is my headcanon, and the Albert I show is my headcanon one. 1. Duke, 2. Stanley, 3. Falcon, 4. Stuart, 5. Albert, 6. Jim, 7. Tim, and 9. The Mine engine. This was the final list of engines. They all started to be scrapped and sold off for foreclosure in 1947. However, I don't really want to retcon all of the other engines we know about. So I'm going to say that the more random engines were replaced with the new ones I listed. I tried to simplify it in this list. We don't know about the original numbers 2 and 3 and the new number 8, but it could still be Atlas, but it was likely someone else. There is the continuity error that Falcon and Stuart were on Sodor before Stanley arrived, so why don't they know what happened to him? The only way I can get this to work is by juggling some dates around. Duke still arrived in 1880. Stanley was built in 1917, so we can't really change his arrival date. So say some other engines worked the Mid-Sodor with Duke before Stanley arrived, but were all scrapped. In 1920, orders for 3 new engines were made, but each would arrive in different months. Stanley arrived first. He was turned into a pumping engine after only a few months. Shortly after, Falcon arrived and Stuart followed not long after. Falcon was already set to be number 3, so he wouldn't have taken Stanley's number 2 on arrival. So all we really have to do is retcon when Falcon arrived on Sodor. This is a bit rusty, but if you can come up with a better explanation than me, I would love to hear it. The model series is a lot more straightforward. I'm saying number 1 Duke, 2 Smudger, 3 Falcon, 4 Stuart, 5 Bertram, 6 Proteus, 7 Freddy. Engines 1 to 4 are confirmed. The Series 5 draft scripts pretty much confirm the theory that Bertram was a Mid-Sodor engine, and I follow the theory that Proteus was the ghost engine in Duncan Gets Spooked. So this event would have happened sometime in the late 1920s. I think Freddy being a Mid-Sodor engine makes a really nice backstory for him, and it also would explain his number 7. And those are my headcanons, at least my main ones. Sometimes I'll see something online and think, hey, that's cool, yeah, that would work. For example, the Unlucky Tug Stereo and how all of the Storm episodes in Series 7 are the same Storm. And if any of you have some headcanons that you want to share, feel free to put them in the comments. The ones I find the most interesting, I'll put into a video maybe next month. And with that, I want to thank all of you for watching, see you in the next video, and goodbye for now.